this is going to be a tale of two viewings because I watched this movie twice to try to understand it. And I've realized that the mentality you have to go into watching it is that it is actively fucking with you. All right. So,
Just like a real malignant tumor.
all right. So I had a very interesting experience watching this the first time because I watched it last week and I was originally planning on watching it last weekend, but an online friend of mine wrote me into it.
I think you mean that wasn't me?
That wasn't you. No, it was somebody else. We're trying to find something to watch, and it was like Malignant's out, and he already knew something I didn't, and I was inebriated at the time, so I was like, I gotta watch it anyway. So sure. And
Yeah.
without going into spoilers, for about 2/3 of it, I'm like, oh, this is really stupid. Like, is this really James Wan? Like, what is going on here? And I was kind of miserable time. And then the third act happened. And then about 5 minutes into it, I just kind of like metaphorically turn to my friend and go, I've changed my mind. I kind of love this. I love everything about this. So, Malignant. Yeah. It's bonkers.
Yeah. It's one of those movies I don't know how I feel about it. I will say that finale does freaking save it. But
watch it again is honestly where I'd put it, because I did watch it again earlier today just to kind of see if you go, like, I'm not exaggerating, if you go into it with the mindset that is actively trolling you, you can honestly have a pretty good time.
Oh, no, I knew that going into it, especially after that Sam Raimi ass opening that happens.
And like, dude, this is like Evil Dead meets like early seasons of X-Files.
Yeah.
Meets like fucking Underworld. Third act. So
yeah. Because this is the thing for me. It reminds me of that bit you told me from the Nicolas Cage movie. The one where he's like supposed to be Charlie Kaufman or something like that.
Oh, adaptation?
Adaptation, yeah. Where it's like, it doesn't matter how bad the first 2/3 are. If you nail the finale, you can save it or something like that. And I feel like that is definitely what this movie is, at least from what I'd seen this first time. But at the same time, that doesn't change the fact that almost everything from after that wacky opening, which then devolves to kind of generic territory, to that crazy ass ending, which I was all in for, by the way.
I don't know, man. Like I can tell you, I encourage you to watch it again because you realize again, this is a parody. Like like you watch a movie again, like there is no way this movie dares you to try to take it seriously. Like it is actively saying, like, if you're taking this seriously, you're an idiot.
Yeah. Like, I know you're not supposed to, but like the way I see it, it was kind of taking the like that purposefully schlocky, hey, remember this stuff from the 70s and 80s movies that it was kind of aping. But there's a point where it does it a little bit too well, and it starts at times felt like it was kind of become the thing it was mocking. And it's just, there are times where just like I didn't feel that invested, or I just didn't really care.
Again, I don't think you're supposed to.
I know, but
and it's like I get what you're saying, but I have to disagree, because again, we are talking about James Wan here, and the man, give him credit. Whatever he's doing, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. It's here's the thing though. It also doesn't help that just like a couple weeks before that, I watched House, which I showed, the Japanese horror flick, which I showed you that one clip from.
Mm-hmm.
And that in my mind was just so much more of an insane time that it's like, I think that was still kind of fresh in my mind, which I'll totally acknowledge.
Maybe
that, like that didn't help.
I would say, like, I think if you go to the mindset that, especially with the marketing and everything like that, it is actively saying like, oh yeah, this is going to be a scary time, but the movie is it's a 2-hour practical joke.
It is.
To one glorious punchline. And I think when you look at it from that mindset, everything around it, including like the over-the-top music cues,
Yeah.
Some of the wooden hammy acting, some of the bad CGI, all these things kind of playing to the fact that like I don't know. I feel like this movie is like hardcore trolling its
Yeah.
audience, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of respect that.
Yeah. But you know what I think the best way to describe for me though is slight family plug. My uncle-in-law, he worked on a short film with Tommy Wiseau. Something where they were actively in on the joke called The House That Drips Blood on Alex.
Mhm.
But that's the thing. For The Room, the reason why a lot of people loved it is because they took it so seriously that it made it hilarious. The House That Drips Blood on Alex, when they were in on the joke, that kind of took away some of the steam, kind of the impact from it. And I think that's the vibe that I got with this is like there's a point where it didn't quite, it wasn't like too far in either direction where like it felt like I could have gotten the full impact. So because like it was kind of being played for a joke, but like it didn't like at the times where like it feel like it didn't quite go all the way in certain directions, except for that ending and the
But that's the
chase
thing,
and the
though.
opening.
It doesn't want to give away that that's what's happening. Like that's what it is, though. That's why it walks that middle ground.
I know, and I think, and yeah, it's a tricky line. Yeah. And I know for some people they're gonna love it. For other people, it's not it might not work. So I know like critically the movie's doing pretty well. Audience wise, it's actually really divisive. And I think that's why.
Well, it's definitely one of those things. Either you're going to be, especially when the twist happens, you're either going to be on board with it or you're not. I don't really see any middle ground going there.
Which is fair. And I will say, like I said, I'm not denying, I love that twist. And I loved how full on bonkers it went with it, because that was when that's when it could like fully just like unleash and be whatever the hell it wanted. And it was like, I don't know how many different genres that got mashed into one, but I remember when I described it to you over text message, you're like, oh, okay. And then I got your, what the fuck was that? Told you.
Yeah. So,
but I will say, and yeah, I think it's just like when it went full on ridiculous like that, that was when I was having the best time. So like the opening, that ending, and there was a chase scene in the middle that I actually had a really good time with too.
That's the thing. The whole thing's ridiculous. Like every piece of this thing is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think if you embrace it, go into it with that mentality and you embrace the fact that, again, it is, to me, this movie is like Hot Fuzz, except the entire point of, like, again, just from the over the top acting, the over the top music cues, it is like Hot Fuzz, and that every frame of it is telling some kind of joke, to the over the top abusive husband in the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah. I thought that was messed up, but at the same time, he was just so like, teeth gritted, like stereotypical abuser. Like I still couldn't help but like guiltily laugh at it a little bit. I was like, this is kind of a fucked up topic, but at the same time, just the way that's being played, it's like, oh god.
And again, like the reason I believe this, because again, like I'm familiar enough with James Wan's filmography to know that like when he goes over the top, it's entirely intentional.
Yeah.
And it serves some kind of grand purpose. And this one I think is a trick horror fans into watching a comedy.
Yeah.
And it does so by kind of walking that line where it's like, am I supposed to take this seriously? Am I not? And then by the end, it's like, nope, not at all. Not even a little bit. Yeah. You were fooled to watching this movie that was marketed and traded off as a super serious James Wan return to horror kind of film. And what you got was the ultimate rug pull of just... And again, just for me, I have to respect the fact that, again, kind of the same thing with Aquaman. It was like, you know what? If you're gonna go for it, just fucking go for it. Yeah. And I respect that. But like, I respect the fact it doesn't treat itself as a comedy. For the most part, this is played straight, which is what makes the ending even funnier when it actually does happen.
Yeah.
Is just how straight it makes it.
Yeah. And like I said, and that is the trick right there that's going to determine whether or not you like this movie or not, I think, because it's like I said, for me, it's the fact that like I kind of read about a little bit going in, so I knew not to take it fully seriously. But even then, I just felt like you know, like for you, like you said, like having that reveal like made it way more interesting. But for me, it's just because it walked that middle ground. It just the rest of everything else, like it made the ending way better. Yes, but like that doesn't change the fact that like I just didn't care throughout the majority of the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. In any other movie, I would agree with you. I think I get it. To me, like all of that plays into it, though. For me, is the fact that no, I don't give a shit about any of these people, but also like the movie's clearly designed where you're not really supposed to. Even like the moral is pretty like stacked on there at the end.
Yeah.
It's played in this like the very beginning of the movie is played in this very over the top Evil Dead 2 Sam Raimi kind of a way.
Yeah.
And then everything else for a while there is like House on Haunted Hill, for like a brief period, and then the rest is fucking Ghost Rider. You know?
Yeah.
And it's to me, it's like that kind of progression between those for like that's the case. Like I see what you're saying, but this is not a movie where I think character really matters.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, and like I was saying, I'm just saying it's like when you purposefully go that route, it's just a fine line you got to walk, and like it's risky depending on the audience member. That's basically all I'm trying to say. And like in the case of, and like this is one of the reasons why it's divisive, because it walked that line and it just it teeters one way or the other. And that's basically what I'm trying to get at, and saying that's like why I think we're having kind of like different reactions. At least we can agree that ending. Like there is no way to like you're not going to get a kick out of the ending. That is all I can say.
I mean, definitely makes its intention most clearly known.
Exactly. And
like, I was sort of talking with a coworker of mine who's really looking forward to this movie because like, oh, I haven't seen a good scary movie in a while, and then I was like, watch like, oh, he's gonna be so disappointed.
Yeah.
And then we're just talking about it later, and it was like, was that intentional? I'm like, you don't make something like that.
Yeah, you don't have a 70s blaxploitation character mixed with a stereotypical biker chick in a prison cell before things turn into I don't know how to describe without spoiling.
We'll get into spoilers in a bit because we have to talk about it.
But I'm just saying, it's like the moment I saw those characters, like, oh, this is going to turn into something special, and it did.
It's like my point is that you don't do that unless like you have to do that by design. There is no way you can do that by accident. There's no way.
What I think what would have solved this for me was if they cut the runtime down. I think like
they could have cut the runtime down. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, because like it's like even though it's less than 2 hours, it definitely feels longer than that. So
it's still just barely under 2 hours.
Yeah. So like if they cut it down to like a lean like 90 minutes, I think I would have had a way better time, because like the gag would have been there in the beginning and would have gotten to the punchline way more quickly, and I would have felt less, tired about it.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. But so yeah, I think this little debate should give you a clear enough idea how you'll feel about this if you haven't seen it already. So let's just get jumped right into the ending. Straight spoilers then. So backwards face man. Voldemort's here.
So I got spoiled kind of about the ending. Basically said it's like they compared it to Basket Case, where the movie involves someone who had a thankfully, just because I knew about that comparison, I was still surprised a bit. Actually, I can't lie. I was actually still quite surprised at the direction it took. Because Basket Case, I think it's an 80s horror flick in which there's conjoined twin brother who's separated at birth is basically going around killing people that that's like has a certain connection to like the main protagonist.
Okay.
In this case, the conjoined twin never left.
Yeah, no, it's apparently just in the back of her brain, because that's how that works somehow. Okay, sure.
Yeah, it was like it's where people are like, it's like we've got to cut the cancer out. It is not a tumor. It's a killer. It's a serial killer.
And the idea is like we need to cut the rest out. What we can't cut out, we're just gonna smush into her brain, because that's totally how that works. It's the most ridiculous imagery of literally like just shoving things into your skull and just closing it up like, yeah, that'll do.
Get back in, Satan!
Yeah, that's totally how the brain works. So it's like, oh, good Lord in heaven. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Not even close to true, but still, at the moment, I was like, oh dear God, this is what we're doing. And then apparently having a literal internal monologue, I guess.
Yeah.
Makes you like the fucking Kate Beckinsale from Underworld for a while, doing all kinds of like kung flu flips and shit. And
I told you it's like, remember I told you, Jack's like, this movie just turned into V for Vendetta.
Yeah, that's what you were talking about. I remember that now because I remember when they got to the jail cell at the end, and I was like, is this going to turn to Ghost Rider? Is what I said to my friend. Yeah, and he didn't say anything. I was like, oh, this motherfucker is going to turn to Ghost Rider anyway. And even then, I did not predict that a face is going to come out of the back of her skull like fucking Voldemort in Harry Potter 1. just start fucking like popping people like zits. Yeah.
Oh, God. The way that she massacres a freaking jail cell, which I will say this is kind of cool. That is kind of creepy. It's just the weird backwards, like off kilter movement that she does while she's possessed like that. What like had a cool choreography to it
for sure.
And then it just goes from killing a bunch of people in a jail cell into an entire police department. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I laughed so hard with the way that scene ended when she throws a chair at two cops from across the room. Like, I don't know what it was about that, but I just like cackled like a maniac at that bit. What else? Because the entire thing is like the main character thinks like her separate, like whatever was separated from her as a kid was the one doing this. It turns out the way that it happens is, oh no, this entity basically convinces her that she's in another thing, or basically warps her reality so she's perceiving something else going on while murder spree happens. It's just like, so much happens in that last act, and it is great.
The whole thing is utterly insane, ridiculous. Ooh, excuse me. And I just, God, like to me, this is a movie that kind of demands to be watched twice once you know the twist. Just to like, it's not like it's super deep. It's definitely not trying to be deep.
For sure,
by any stretch of the imagination. But watching it again with the full context, it's like, oh my God, it makes it even funnier.
Right. I will say, in spite of my issues with it, throughout the movie, Juan still has like a great, style. Although I will say I am getting kind of tired of his shtick with the disappearing ghosts and light thing, and like the kind of like when they turn it back off, on, off, reappears again.
I mean, at least in this case, you can like classify it as like a literal act of self-parody.
Yeah, that is true. But great cinematography throughout. Like, I love that that they still get some like really great framing for a lot of these things. The way they draw it out, like in a fairly decent, they draw it out in a way that still makes it pretty interesting too.
Yeah.
And what else? And like I said, I'm not sure what else to really say about this movie.
It's bad shit. It's bonkers. If that's your thing, you'll have a good time. Just keep in mind that it is a troll movie through and through that somehow got WB's money behind it.
Yeah.
Open for a sequel.
Well, it certainly does a little bit of sequel baiting.
WB, they're always like, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I had a good time with it. Make it what you will. I don't have a lot to say. I think I made my point pretty clear at this stage of things.
Yeah.
And something else also came up tonight that I got to deal with, so, or at least help out with. So we probably wrap it up there. I don't even know what's out right now. We're gonna figure it out as we go.
Cry Macho just came out.
I did see that. Yeah, which is still a ridiculous name.
I'm curious because it apparently, from what I've basically been hearing, it's kind of like Gran Torino, except not good.
I haven't really played this one in like 10 years, like pretty much since American Sniper, really.
No, we saw Sully.
I remember Sully being okay.
I remember I enjoyed that one more than you did.
Yeah, like I remember feeling pretty meh about it.
Yeah. What else did he do? Oh yeah, he also did that Richard Jewell movie, which I heard was all right.
Yeah, I heard that one. I heard that one really misrepresented things to a kind of dangerous degree.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Particularly with the female reporter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, that was a big deal. But yeah, I'm curious about it just because Clint Eastwood's still, kicking some ass acting at least at 91, which is impressive to say the least.
Yeah, he's also a crazy man who talked to a chair. Lest we forget all that.
Yeah, no, I am not denying that.
I don't know. He's one of
Speaking of drawn out jokes.
Yeah, I know. You mean Clint Eastwood? Yeah.
Oh man. All right. But yeah. So, like I said, your mileage may vary for this movie depending on how well you take everything leading up to the punchline. But yeah, I definitely don't regret watching it. I'll say that.
No.
It's like I said, that ending was fucking worth it. Like that was, I had such a damn good time in that last like 30-ish minutes or 20 something. And I'm sure you will too. All right, but yeah, so I guess we shall take our leave. So we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, so I'll see you wherever we talk about next week. Bye, everyone.